walking out to the first sandbar and is going to throw from there, and I'm going to rig up this long rod and try to get a little farther out. So we're trying to accomplish 2 or 3 things. We're already staging our baits, and we're going out and trying to catch some bait so that we can, number 1, find out where the fish are, and number 2, start getting some bigger bait. We got to forget about shrimp being the universal end-all bait. Now, stop machine. There we go. If you notice, let me back this up a little bit here. The other thing that we're going to do that is real important out on the beach is this right here. Okay. You always got to be able to take surf weights out to the beach. Now, whether it's this size for your lightweight equipment or this size for your bigger equipment. And this isn't the biggest. But let me tell you something. When that wind starts blowing left to right, and you throw that thing that way, 15 minutes later you're fishing on somebody's campsite down there that's already up against the beach, it's no good. Let me tell you something. A couple of things, important things to look for when you're buying these. Hey, ooh, it's got a long wire. Wrong. Long wire is okay. It's how thick this wire is. Look for 2 things. Make sure that you can do this with it. Okay? Now, one thing you want to do is you want to make sure this thing will stay once it gets in the sand and hook up. But I have seen some guys that build these things with this stuff. Right here. You ever try to break one of these things loose? I mean, these things are jammed into the ground. And even if you just want to change out baits, you end up losing more terminal tackle. So look for something kind of medium where it's strong enough to hold on, but it's also not that rigid, so that when you do want to bring it in or you get a strike, that you've got the opportunity to break away easily. Now, let's see here. The one thing that we're going to show here is that we're going to show simply rigging up, but one thing I wanted to show is that we're going to talk about 2 things today, is casting. This is going to be just a little brief example of real simple casting. If I can get out and not drown. Here you go. Okay, now watch something here. This is important. When I come back here, and bring this long rod back, the key thing for surf casting is not starting here. Some guys, they get them big old long rods, you know. Oh, let me tell you something about that. I don't mind these manufacturers that build 15-foot rods, but if you are 5'7" like me and try to throw a 15-foot rod, I mean, it's more confusing than anything else. Get something moderate, 10, 11 feet. Now, what you're going to see here is, I just want to share a couple points with you. The important things on surf casting, whether you're casting this size rod, an 8-footer, or you're casting something like this, okay? This is what these are made for. These are what these are made for. Get the kind of equipment that's going to do the job for you, okay? Don't go out. If you want to cast a long ways, get a rod with a fast tip. Got plenty of backbone, good guys, but it's got a fast tip that's going to move for you. Now, the key here is 2 things. The English off the East Coast, they do a thing called a pendulum, which is a little too confusing for me, but we've tried it. But we have found that if you just remember to load up that rod going in reverse, before you start going forward, you're probably going to at least increase your distance by 50%. What I'm saying is, if you point that thing straight up here, well, I can't do it here, but straight up, and take that thing forward, your body is doing all the work. Your arms are pushing that thing out. But you're going to have a weight on the end of this rod. How am I going to do this here? Okay, you're going to have a weight on the end of this rod. And the key here is that if you... I don't need this thing. Y'all hear me? Great. Okay. The key here is that if you get this rod going in reverse, what's going to happen is that weight and that bait that you've got is going to load this thing up. Right? So instead of just going from straight up and out, think about taking this rod back. Okay, take it back and load it up back here. Okay, bring it all the way down to here and load it up. So what ends up happening is that rod is loading up way down here and shoot that projectile going forward. The second thing is, a lot of guys, they get this action going real good, right? Well, they toss that thing up there and they got that rod way up here and they're looking. Okay, now the bait has already gone up and come down. What's happening is that as that line is coming down, this thing is still pointed up and it's dragging its little butt down here. Not good. What you got to do, guys, load that puppy up going in reverse, like this, shoot it out, and follow that thing. As you can see that weight and that projectile going up, you point at that puppy and you follow it all the way down till it hits the water. What you're doing is, you'd be surprised that the amount of friction that that line will create, just not pulling on these guides, will really, really improve your casting a whole bunch. Okay, so those are two points. Load that rod up going in reverse, and also point as it's going down. Let me just show you something real quick. The English, I'm just going to show you this real quick. The English, they have a thing called a pendulum swing. I'm just going to go through it real fast. Imagine that you had a weight swinging back and forth. Back, how do we move over? Back and forth. Okay? Now, remember when I told you guys that loading up that rod at the farthest point back here was the important thing? Okay, instead of loading it up from here to there, you load it up from here, like that. You wing it. Okay? What they figured out was a way to load it up even farther. Now, they can throw 225 yards. Okay? I'd like to see them do that on the Texas Gulf Coast with a 20-mile-an-hour wind and a 5-ounce mullet on the end of their rod. Ain't gonna happen. But they can throw a long way. And what they do is this. Okay, you got this thing swinging back and forth. Which way are we gonna throw? Anybody got an idea? That way. Everybody was wrong. Okay, you got this puppy going like this, right? Now, as that rod, or as that weight, or that leader, or that bait swings out, up, back, out, and it's pointing out there. Now the weight is at the very end of this rod. They start their turn, and they come around. And now, when they're right here, they've already loaded that rod up halfway around. We were starting here and thinking we were great. They started back here. They turn that puppy and they load it up, and as they come around, then they bring it on around. And it's the same technique from there on. But what they're doing is loading it up a little bit farther back. A little bit farther back. It's something to practice on, but it's an interesting situation. Now, let's talk a little bit more. You guys watching TV here. You guys don't need that pendulum. Now, what happens here is that friend of mine caught that little bait fish. Everybody see that?
No.
All right. Here we go. Here he is. That little guy who was out there caught his little bait fish. All right. I'm still out here throwing shrimp, trying to find fish. And he went out there with his little ultralight and he caught himself a little bait fish. Now, let me show you guys. This is the most important thing that I'm going to show you guys today. Let's see. Is how to work this machine. That's the first thing. There we go. Okay. Stop. Okay. What we're going to be looking for, guys, is we are going to be looking for areas there. Okay. Hang on, we're going to find it. There. Okay. One of the main things that you look for when you're driving down the beach, you're going to drive down the beach and you say, okay, like my wife does, we're traveling now 25 miles down the beach. and it's been bumpy and beer's falling everywhere. And my son says, "Dad, are we there yet?" And my wife says, "No, he's got one place reserved, son. He's got to go to that one place." But I said, "I'm looking for something," right? She's had it by the time we get to the 12-mile marker, but we're going to the 25. Now, what are you going to look for when you're driving down the beach? Good idea. Birds. Yeah, that's right. And sometimes a place to pull over. Now, okay, you're driving down the beach. What do you look for? That's right. Traditional signs like birds, bait fish breaking. The number one thing to look for is this. Remember I told you guys that these sandbars run up and down the beach, right? Okay. What we're going to do is as you're looking along these trough lines like this, what you want to do is if you want to look for a place that all right, let's wait. There's a place on the table, I couldn't find it. These sandbars are basically, if you'll look, they're like HEB aisles. Okay? And the fish move along the aisles. Right? Okay. Every once in a while, there's a break in the aisle. There's a little, like a intersection. Right? You go from aisle number 3 to aisle number 4. And they move in. Or we all do. It's the same deal on the beach. These troughs that run along the Texas beach with the bait, the game fish, and the sharks, all moving migratory up and down the beach, every once in a while want to change lanes. All right? They want to change lanes. So what you look for, and I'll try to find another place to show it to you, but what you want to look for is that you want to look for an area where you see a long line of breakers, and for some ungodly reason, right in the middle, there's no breaking water. You see a long line of white breaking water, that's because it got shallow, the water came up and curled. But you look for an area where there's that long line of break and there's a gap. What that is that's an intersection. And that's where traditionally most fish change troughs. Whether they're moving inward or away from the beach, they're going to use these changing lane areas more often than not. So if you can try to identify those, and I'll try to help you again, that is a real key thing. Now, what else are you going to look for? Well, you're going to try to remember what Rudy said. You know, go to the 8, 11, you know, all that. And then you look for the sandbars. If you finally run out of where to stop, this is probably my key secret here. We have always done real well in front of the largest, anybody know what I'm saying? Good job. The largest sand dune that we can find. If we can't find birds, we can't find breaking bait fish, we can't find this break in the trough, big sand dune. Reason why?
Look at that for Rudy.
Something about that area has created a wind shift that brings the air or that wind up in front of the beach and up onto that dune, and has blown that dune up. Well, over the course of hundreds of years, the area right in front of it is basically undermined. And usually what you end up finding there is a little deeper water. So we've been pretty successful by, if ultimately we can't do anything else, we locate the biggest sand dune and go from there. So again, the number one thing is if you're not out there fishing at all, then you don't have a chance. Well, we were fishing for just whatever we could go to strike run and trying to film this show. And a friend of mine, Jay Silva from here in San Antonio, was with me. He was casting. Here's the first sandbar. He was casting right onto the other side of the first sandbar. Remember what I told you guys earlier? Doesn't matter how far you can throw. You know, those guys in England can throw 225 yards. Well, if you throw 225 yards and throw it over the whole lake and end up on the other side, it doesn't do you any good. You've got to throw to the right place. Okay? So what you want to do is you want to identify the sandbars. You want to identify the sandbars, right? Hold it. Okay. There. Stop. Here's the breaking sandbar. That's the width of the sandbar. Either throw And Jay, and if you got more than one rod, try different places. Throw on the inside of the sandbar or the outside of the sandbar. And try to lay your bait on those drop-offs. Because remember, what do we have, guys? Bait fish, game fish, and the sharks. All moving up and down there. And where they are, they're not in the middle of the trough. They're on those sandbars. So that's where you want to throw. So Jay had tossed a 9/80 pin reel on a medium length stick. This rod right here is probably the best utility rod that I own. It's good for the piers, it's good for the jetties. You can throw it out in the surf. You can be a pretty long boat rod, but it's a pretty good utility rod. This is what Jay was throwing with. A 9/80 reel, 17-pound test, right there in the second gut. Now, you got to remember that this director that we were working with said, hurry up. So this story gets better. Now, Jay's out there, he caught his little, what did he do first, guys? He caught his little bait fish, right? Now he hooked up, now let me tell you, we're going to learn today that this is surf fishing right here. Everybody see this? This is surf fishing. This is surf fishing. Okay? But you need one of these before you can use one of these. So what he did is he caught his little whiting on one of these puppies right here, on this rig right here. Let me tell you something, guys. I got a rig for tomorrow already. You don't need a heavy leader. If you just extend your own line out, tie one of these little puppies on with a little surf weight, the smaller the better. And a little piece of shrimp. I mean, don't be sticking one of them big old jumbo shrimp on here. I mean, they'll find their way around this hook, I want to tell you. Get a little piece of shrimp and a little hook and catch that bait. Now, once he caught that bait, he figured, well, we got to get something on film, so we better catch a redfish or something pretty quick. So we threw this rig out here, but basically threw it out on this rig right here. Redfish rig, very simple. You don't catch sharks on this. Right. But you're not supposed, well, I guess you're supposed to, but you know, they sell you all that stuff like you guys have all those 15 million colors of worms. You know, we got the same thing. All the different kinds of terminal tackle and the leaders and all that for different kinds of fish catching. But sometimes the fish mistakes it. Well, he had a 3-foot leader on 17-pound test. And we're out there to catch redfish in that first gut. Now this is what happens. I like this little machine. Somebody was running for me. Okay. This is what happens. In a minute. Come on, man. Watch the bird fly. Sun was going down. It's about that time of day. And we've been there about, I'm guessing about an hour and a half. Not too much action so far.
What month was it?
Pardon me?
What time of the year?
September. Now, Jay's out there with his 17-pound test on his rig. Come on, machine, let's go. That's it, blew up. There we go. Now, basically Jay gets on, and he's on. Now, if you notice, this is what you do when your buddy catches a fish. He's down there catching his fish. Mike and I walk back to get a beer. I mean, he's not going to let us reel it in. So to hell with it. Now what we do here, look guys, we're not all that friendly with this guy, but let me show you. We knew now that he does not have a redfish on this thing. 17-pound test, and it is going downtown, and there's nothing stopping it. Now, what usually happens on a rig this size in the surf, and this is the beauty about surf fishing, is that you never know. You never know what you're going to hook up with. We ended up coming out and put a crotch plate on Jay, right here, which is a crotch belt, so that he could stick this rod down onto. Now let me tell you, when it gets to some of these bigger rigs, we also use a shoulder harness. That's just to let your arms rest a little bit, because otherwise they're going to beat you. Let me tell you about the beautiful thing about surf fishing. Not only is it a place to rest the mind and go and really relax, but let me tell you something. There is no putting the boat in reverse. When you hook up with a fish and he's going south, you can't tell that captain, back up! I'm running out of line! You got two options. He either beats you or you chase him out in the water. It's up to you. So that's, I think, is a real good test of fishermen, is that, you know, you really, it's really you and him. Now, all right. Today next we got on, and this fish we either thought was either a big Jack Carvel, something in the 50-pound range, or just an enormous redfish. Now, it was a little late for big black tips, because usually black tips, although you can get them year round, they're usually a little bit better off during the summer months. The warmer the water, the bigger the fish get as far as sharks go. Now, this is a friend of mine's little boy. Okay? Now, little boys are good kids, because they always want to get in on the action. But after a little while, you feel like, I got two little ones, not just joking. Now, all right. Basically, what this fish is doing is that he is moving up and down and back and away. All right. Now you can watch Jay basically work up and down the beach to him. Now, with 17-pound test and a pretty good sized fish on, this went for a little while. What we ended up having to do is, if you remember back, is that I had a TV producer saying, land that fish. We got to get a show. The sun was going down and he was running out of light. So now, we don't know what we got. So Jay says, go get the net. Okay? So that's a great idea if it's a redfish. Or even a jack. It wasn't one of those. Okay. So he keeps working this fish, and he kept taking line. And I'm telling you, there's nothing like standing out there on the beach watching these fish just take line. I mean, they're running, and bait fish are jumping. I mean, it's a great feeling. Now here comes Rudy Rodriguez with his nets. Okay. And no, we can't figure out what it is yet, because he keeps taking line. Okay. So I said, what is it, Jason? I don't know. Let's just keep reading. And then there's Mike. Let me read it. Let me read it. Let me read it. Okay. Behind me, I've got a producer telling me to hurry up and land this thing. Well, you're going to start to see this, what we thought was a redfish, come into view here in just a second. Again, this is a little dangerous tactic, keeping your finger tied down on that reel. It's okay, but you got to be real delicate, because he can run real hard. It's a great way to fry your fingers. What Jay is doing is allowing himself, look what he's doing right here, to work this fish with the rod. Not with the reel all the time, but when he holds back, that good equipment is what's working. That's what's tiring this fish out. Right here. Is that he is holding that fish down with that rod instead of doing this all day. You can't do that with a real flimsy rod.
Break time.
That's what I'd like to see one of those all-American fly fishermen guys. Try this. In the middle of this thing, Jay's crotch belt broke. And I had to put another one on him, where there you go. See? He said, watch out, Rudy. Okay. This actually took a total of about 25 minutes. And the sun is dropping. It's now gone behind the dunes. And the director again says, what do you say? Land it. Hurry up. We got to get a show. It's the only fish we've caught today, right? Okay. Now we got it. Let me tell you guys a secret. When Jay was fighting this fish, if you guys ever get out on the surf, you're going to find that when these big fish start coming in, when they get to the sandbars, they do not want to cross them. And it's easy, I mean, it's a perfect place to break a line by trying to horse him over that sandbar. Let Mother Nature help you guys. When that wave comes behind him and pushes over that sandbar, give him a little tug. He'll come right over with it. Okay? That's usually what you need to help. But don't try to just force him over, because that's not going to make it. Now it's getting dark. Here he comes. Okay, here comes the river. You made me red. Okay, so here he comes, this crazy redfish, and there he is right here. Guess what, guys? It wasn't a redfish. But the guy started to hurry up and land this thing, and I'm out there with a 5-foot shark and a 4-foot cast net. Makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense. Somebody. Now, the other thing was that traditionally by this time we would have had a big leader on the shark. So that by the time you're this close, you grab onto that steel cable and you bring him in. Okay? We were fishing for redfish. And we had this little 3-foot thing. So there was no grabbing the leader and pulling him in. Alright, there he is. Alright, now I've got this leader in my hand, and I'm trying to land it. Come on, you can land it here too. Here it comes, you're going to see him right.
This is a shrimp net.
That's a shrimp net, here he is. Right. And Rudy's out there with his 4-foot net. Good job, Rudy. I'm going to tell you guys this story in a little bit, but anyway, here comes trying to land this fish. It gives you some sense of I think the excitement and being out there by, being out in the elements and Mother Nature and stuff. I mean, there is nothing like it because you never know what's going to happen on the Texas Gulf Coast. Come on, Rudy, land.